This is Nathan Lindorf with The Rational Independent, and today we're covering just one topic. For once, not from Reddit. Awesome. We're talking about the Kari Lake bribery issue. Now, I heard about this yesterday. I listened to this audio. Just so you know, I lived in Arizona for 11 years, only moved to Colorado a couple of years ago, and this kind of hit home to me because this was this is the Republican machine in Arizona. This is the GOP state chair, I think is what it's called. And Kari Lake, who was running for governor, I believe in the 2020 cycle. So when I heard this, I was furious. I was ready to pop off and just lose my mind. But the purpose of this channel is The Rational Independent. The purpose of this channel is to show that it is good to be passionate, but it is also good to temper that passion. And so I slept overnight on the issue. Now we're going to listen to the audio again. And if it makes me furious again, then there's a pretty good reason to be furious. But sometimes we hear things that make us go crazy. And it's usually a good idea to let your temper cool before you take action on that. So let's listen and see where it goes from there.
Is there a number at which
I can be bought?
not be bought?
That's what it's about.
You can take a pause for a couple of years.
No.
And then go right back to what you're doing.
No. 10 million, 20 million, 30, no. A billion, no. This is not about money. This is about our country. I think it's disturbing that they would even, that anybody would think this is...
No, to be fair, even me, I'll say this. I want a fresh face right now for the reason that I've never seen anyone, I can't think of a single person in a federal race who's lost, ran into one. I can't think of it. If you can think of it, let me know.
I am not going to let these people who hate our country tell me not to run. You should call them and tell them to get behind me. So what's going on? I'm assuming this is our friend.
Looks like it was cut a little out of order. Bear with me. I'm going to just run through it.
There are very powerful people that want to keep you out.
Oh, no, they do.
But they're willing to put their money where their mouth is in a big way. So, this conversation never happened.
This is crazy, though. They should want me. I'm a great candidate. People love me. These people are corrupt.
Well, maybe you're right.
They are right. They are corrupt.
Maybe you're right. This never happened. Don't go. If you ever go, I'll get myself in trouble. This, if you say no, that's just fine. It's your choice. Don't tell people. I know.
They're gonna try to have me murdered.
Not either. Today's world, man. If that stuff that came out last week is right about the cartel stuff, man. They say the cartel's operating in 50 states right now. Like all 50, you know? So
what's going on? Who is it? What?
Forget the who. Let me just tell you the what. Let's just say there are people calling around saying, gosh, no, they can't repeat this. Never repeat this. If you say no, don't. If you say, I got offered to buy out. Don't use it. Because then we lose our ability to get things done in the future. Jeez.
I just want to point that out. He's saying things like, this conversation never happened. He's saying things like, if you say no to this offer, don't go noising about this. Why? Not because it's wrong, because then we lose our ability to get things done in the future. Hold on to that thought.
This is my problem. Rather than just say, let's work with her. She's a great candidate. Because they don't own me. And it pisses me off.
Yeah, I don't know it's about ownership.
It's about control.
I don't know it's about control. It's about being on the team. I guess that's, you know what I mean?
They want to be on the team.
They want you to be on their team.
But
Just team.
This is why I think Kari Lake struggles in party politics, and this is why they probably don't want to get behind her, because she's just kind of default independently minded. He says it's not about control, it's not about ownership, it's about being on the team. And her mind goes to, they want to be on the team because it defaults to her independently acting. It's the reverse. He has to clarify and say, no, they want you on their team. They're trying to pull you into their sphere. They're not trying to join your sphere. Anyway.
But if they're pushing a globalist agenda, I can't do that. So what do they want? What do they want me to do?
You want me to stay out for 2 years. But, let me tell you what I can offer you. But, I said you can do whatever you want. It's talking head, isn't it? So, the ask of me was, it's kind of funny. So the ask I got today from back east was, here's the state between us. Is there any companies out there or something that could just put her on the payroll and give her, to keep her out? And I said, well, what do you want them to do? Whatever we need to do.
This is about defeating Trump. And I think that's a bad, bad thing for our country. DeSantis is not America first. This is about the final death blow to Trump. And I don't think that's good for our country.
I love her. I love her.
It's not good for our country, Jeff.
It's not. But at the same time, I'm not even sure Trump can win again. I don't know that he can win again. I think what it really comes down to for a lot of people, it's not really about like control or agenda. It's just about the ability to raise money to win. You know.
It's not about control or agenda. It's about the ability to raise money to win. This is a worldview that says you can get anything you want in this world with money. You can buy anybody, you can buy influence, you can buy political agendas, you can enforce your will on the country if you can just throw enough money at it. It's gross.
If you really want to know, all of politics boils down to money, I think. I always believe that. And even on their end, like what makes them the most money?
I know, all these consultants don't want their payday to end. And I don't want to make a deal with these kind of people. This is a hill worth dying on. I'm not...
Gotta give her props for that stance. This is not something she's willing to bend on. Everyone should have principles they're not willing to bend on. Politics attacks that. Politics attacks that integrity and tries to force you to compromise and bend on your principles until finally you have nothing left. One of the reasons I happen to like Kari Lake is that she doesn't bend.
I'm not, if they're going to steal the election to make me and our movement go away, I'm not letting them do that. I owe it to the people of Arizona
Or
to carry their torch and their voice.
Or you don't go away, but you pause.
This is the battles right now, Jeff.
You pause. And you fill your coffers.
No, the battle is right now. The battle is right now, and we don't have time to pause on this battlefield.
You're not. You can't scratch their back. It's not afraid of you.
Yeah.
You don't have anything to offer them. And they're sitting around people that have something to offer them. You know what I mean? It's just it's a back scratching club. That's all DC is. It's a big back scratching club. You're in no position to scratch anybody's back, and you've already made it known that if you get there, you're not going to scratch anybody's back. I don't scratch people's back. You know, I've been on the outs with a lot of people for a long time because I don't scratch my back. You know, where are we in 2 years if they steal the election again?
Listen to what you're saying. Why don't we do something about it? So that we the people can pick our...
What can we do?
I'm not willing to accept that. Then I'm going to be the biggest pain in these people's... Go back and tell them that. I'm running, and I'm going to be the biggest pain in their...
It's worth pointing out she's referring to the Republican DC establishment. She's planning to be a pain in their asses.
I'm willing to tell them that.
And they're going to have to kill me to stop me.
Big words, but that's what she's saying. They're going to have to kill me to stop me. That fired me up again. Ugh. This is why I'm not a Republican. This kind of corruption is why I cannot be part of the political machine on the Republican side. The Republican Party wants to lose and get rich doing it. And they're really good at it. They're really good at playing the victim, at playing the, oh, we have our principles that we stand on, and we're patriotic, and we love the flag, and we love the soldiers, and we love defense spending and defense. Wait, no, we don't talk about defense contractors. We love everything you love, but we just can't quite win. We get close, but we just can't quite get our agenda through, even when we have a majority in the Senate and in the House, and we have the presidency. We get almost nothing done. The only legislative accomplishment of Trump's first term was the tax cut package. Now, I don't hate tax cuts. Ironically enough, because of some of the restructuring, my wife and I actually pay more in taxes after the tax cut package. But that's not a legislative agenda. Cutting taxes and not touching spending is not a legislative accomplishment. The real threat to America is the growth of the unaccountable administrative state that bloats and bloats, that takes more power, that takes more control, and will bankrupt our country. And if you're the Republicans whining about how, oh, I just can't get anything done, but give me money, I want you to scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, let's all get rich while we lose and don't do what we were sent to Washington to do. I'm not going to be part of any of that. Forget it. I can't be a Democrat either, because the pursuit of equity has led to more human misery and death, as proven over the last 100 some odd years, where we've tried it in country after country. The pursuit of equity leads to grinding poverty and the human misery that goes with it. That's just reality. That's not negotiable. That's not even, it's not up for debate. It's proven. We have run experiments where we put Marxists and communists and Leninists and pick your ists, pick your flavor. We have put people in charge of whole countries and their economies and given them free rein to execute the political vision of Marx, and hundreds of millions of people died. That's a historical fact. Further, there's a handful of policies on the Democratic side that I just cannot get behind. I cannot support the mass murder of babies. That's what abortion writ large in America has been over the last 50 some odd years. We have murdered 60 million people in the name of the comfort of the mother, in the name of compassion, fairness, equity. Safe, legal, and rare? No abortion is safe. The baby dies every time. That's just reality. It's a human life, and you're ending it. And the Democratic Party is wholeheartedly in support of it. In fact, if you look at some of the more stringent, more strident activists within the Democratic Party, you see people that are starting to argue that infanticide should be acceptable. That even after the baby is born, if there's a problem with keeping the baby alive, if the mother doesn't want it, if whatever, then you should just let the baby die. Barack Obama, famous, popular Barack Obama, in the Illinois State Senate, where he was before he ran for president. In the Illinois State Senate, there was a law that was proposed. It was called something like the Born Alive Protection Act. And the idea was there's a baby that's scheduled to be aborted. But sometimes the baby is not successfully aborted before it's delivered. The policy of the hospital was that they would take the infant child and they would put it on a shelf and basically let it starve to death. It would cry and wail and shiver, and left alone without attention, eventually it would die. And then it would get marked in the books as an abortion. That was happening. And there was a piece of legislation that said, hey, it's legal to try and kill the baby. That's what Roe v. Wade says. If you fail to, you should still protect that life. That's life. Barack Obama voted against that bill. Barack Obama, one of the few votes he cast, one of the few times he didn't just vote present as a state senator, voted against protecting a baby who was accidentally born during a botched abortion. If you're a parent, envision your infant child and envision a doctor who is cold-hearted enough to take that infant and put them on a shelf in a room and leave them and let them starve to death. Your child starve to death. You want to support the Democratic Party? You want to support Barack Obama, who's willing to say, yeah, that status quo, we should keep that status quo. We shouldn't protect that child. I can't go there. I cannot be a Democrat for a bunch of reasons, but there's one of them. But I can't be a Republican because here's the thing. If Kari Lake said yes to that offer, would we have heard about it? No. You would hear an announcement where she said, listen, I'm going to try for governor again in a couple of years. I've decided that that's best. I can best represent the people of America. You can spin it any way you want. And then she quietly gets a board of directors deal. She quietly becomes a consultant for some piece of the Arizona business economy, some company that wants to be owed a favor. So they're willing to drop a few $1 million into this political candidate's life. They pay her, which means she owes them, and they pay her at the request of people back east, which means people back east now owe them a favor. So that's a great deal for a local Arizona businessman, and in a couple of years, maybe she becomes governor. Except now, as a governor, she has strings. She now owes that local businessman, and maybe she pushes through a piece of legislation that harms a consumer and benefits that businessman. Who knows? Once you let people get their hooks in you, you're no longer independent. You're part of the machine. You've compromised your principles. Now that makes me politically homeless, because most people who reach this point either become cynical and disengage from the whole political thing and say, screw it, they're all bastards, I'm out. Or they say, well, then what's the solution? If party politics destroys everything, if everything is so corrupt, do I go left? Do I go right? Neither, whatever. Okay, what am I left with? Libertarianism. Libertarianism is a beautiful dream that misunderstands human nature. In human nature, there are cartels, there are extra government entities who will assassinate you if you don't do what they want you to do. There are governments and political operators. There are all sorts of people that are willing to violate the non-aggression principle that's part of libertarianism, that are willing to say, do what I want, or I will kill you and your whole family. And whoever replaces you, they'll do what I want. There are Al Capones in the world. There are tyrants in the world. That is just reality, which makes libertarianism a beautiful dream, because there is no answer in libertarianism for what you do from an external threat outside your little group of libertarians who have all agreed to abide by the non-aggression principle. What happens if you get invaded by freaking barbarians, by Attila the Hun, by whoever the modern equivalent is? You can't defend against that if you're all running around doing your own thing. You know how you defend against that? A border and an army. For a border and an army, you need a government. If you have a government, you run into corruption. See, corruption. You cannot be a libertarian, because if you successfully accomplish libertarianism, you will get invaded and destroyed and occupied by someone who doesn't believe in civil liberty, by someone who's willing to use violence for political ends. There are people in the world who are willing to do that, and they want to take your stuff. So I can't be a libertarian either. I am an advocate for a government that is strong enough to protect its people from threats, foreign and domestic, but is constrained so other than protecting people, it basically stays out of your way. Because government does not create, government destroys. Government is like fire. Fire is fantastic if it's a little fire. A little campfire can be the difference between life and death in the wilderness. But a wildfire kills everybody. What we have as a country is that we have grown so fat and so lazy in our inherited freedoms that we have lost the understanding that if we lose them, we don't get them back. It's very, very difficult to come back to the status quo. And step by step by step, over the generations, we have ceded more and more of our personal liberty. We have eroded more and more of the checks and balances designed into the Constitution. And we have gotten away with it because we are relatively more free than the people around us, because we have the inherited wealth, because we have the privilege of what we came from, the heritage that we came from here in America, of freedom and of liberty. But we are actively abandoning that. And it's only a matter of time. If you're on a train headed for a cliff, you're gonna go over that cliff. You can go super fast towards that cliff, and that's kind of the Democrat Party. Let's charge headlong forward. Or you can go the speed limit. You can go 10 miles an hour, still towards the cliff. That's the Republican Party. Let's keep heading towards destruction, just a little slower. That's not a plan. That still leads to destruction. And here we are. I got a comment this morning from an earlier video that made a little bit of a jibe about the low number of views that I have. I'm okay with that. I'm not a pretty girl. I'm not a polished speaker. I'm not an expert. I am an everyman. I am just a guy. I got a psychology degree because there were more girls in those classes than there were in the engineering classes. Not a great decision. I've managed to make a life for myself. I have a beautiful wife. We've been married almost 18 years. I have 4 kids. I'm worried about paying my mortgage. I'm worried about whether or not my kids are healthy and doing well in school. I'm just trying to live my life. But I can't ignore what's going on around me, and so I do my best to express my thoughts. I do my best to analyze the news of the day and offer what insight that I can in the very limited time that I have between work, school, home, church, you name it. We all live busy lives. My production quality is pretty low. I'm okay with that. Hopefully it's not distractingly bad. My goal is to express my thoughts and to remain politically independent, because I cannot be captured by anybody and remain myself. I will lose the heart of who I am if I let myself get sucked into one system or another. Sometimes I wish I could just be a Donald Trump fanboy, because those guys are rabid, and they would rah, come behind the flag and probably boost my channel like crazy. I also think it would be so easy to just be anti-Trump, never Trump. Man, leftist talking points are super easy to parrot. They're really predictable. They don't challenge your brain. You pretty much just do what you're told. And if you're reliably willing to do that, there are people who will throw money at you for being a voice for that. And if you're unwilling to do either, you're going to get kicked from all sides. Sorry, that's me. I'm going to get kicked from all sides. That means the algorithm doesn't know what to do with me, because if it shows me to Trump advocates, I get called a never Trumper. That happened today. At the same time, last week, similar video, I get called part of the Trump cult, because the algorithm tried to show me to people who don't like Trump. What if I don't fit into either boxes? What do you do? At the end of the day, it's simply this. I can only be me, and I try my best to show my perspective on the news of the day as picked by Reddit. Not my favorite topics, but that's the kind of the theme. My opinion on the news of the day in a somewhat snarky, whimsical manner, poking fun at grammar and at logical inconsistencies, because I'm a nerd like that, and I like that sort of thing, and every once in a while, hopefully trying to say something that approaches profound. And then go on with my life. And I'm going to keep doing that. Something I wanted to think about for today. Today is 1 year. I've been making videos for a year. I started this last January, working a contract job, short term, a few weeks away from unemployment. My wife had lost her job recently. We weren't sure where we were going to be at. And I just said, you know what? This is probably not going to go anywhere. But regardless of whether or not it turns into money, this is something I need to do. So I started making videos, having no idea what the heck I'm doing. Still pretty much don't have any idea what I'm doing. Here we are, 1 year later. And I'm grateful for everyone who's given me a few minutes of their time. I'm going to keep trying, because that's all I can do. And I'm going to stay independent, because that's the only way to stay me. Otherwise, you'll never know which part is me and which part is the narrative that I've agreed to puppet. Parrot. No Reddit involved. That's my rant today. This is Nathan Lindorf with Rational Independent. Good luck out there.